Hello gamers and welcome to my little world. I've got several games on tap and lots more to come. As you may already know, I'm trying to branch out this year and give some new systems a try. So I'm calling it New Horizons 2023. Now, we never actually held a proper session 0, and I usually would, but things have been just a little topsy-turvy. So definitely we've pretty much righted ourselves, and I've got the new course set and we're in pretty good shape, but still a little bit of discombobulation coming into it. So I do want to cover our session 0 topics that I would typically cover. And this is a discussion. This would normally be with all the players present, but that's not possible with our format right now. But don't take this as a dictation. This is open to discussion for the most part. So, and our time slots are on the screen there. I am hoping to get some more time slots going, as you know, or most of you know, I think. But right now, that is what's being offered. So, what I'm going to do in this video, we're going to do, well, I'll introduce myself, and I would love for you guys to introduce yourselves in the lobby, or maybe even better yet, in the in-character chat channel. And you can let me know if you have a play style that you're really into, or you can just jump right in and play it. And what do you want? What do you want out of this game? So, how do you hope for it to go? What kind of games we're going to be playing, and the campaigns we're going to be setting up. Character generation will have already happened by the time you see this video, or if it hasn't, you'll be provided with a pre-generated character, or whatever arrangement we've made. And I need to review my house rules. Attendance policy is just stricken from the record at this point because there is no protracted campaign. It's all just individual. So there is no attendance policy. And we will talk accessibility, and just some individual things I need to address. The campaigns are all free, so I've got my address up there if you want to. At the end, you'll see where to send tips or pay what you want or anything, but it's free. You don't have to send anything. So, and when I was collecting money in the past, it was generally $10 a session. I do give veterans and the disabled to pay what you want, and that money all goes back into the campaign. So just so you know. And what we're going to do is, this would be normally the time I would introduce you to Syseria. And Syseria is my setting for D&D that I've created that is currently in a transitional state. I had been writing a book with the intention and the design all in the vein of the open gaming license, and thank God for procrastination. And we're in a state now where I'm just trying to redo everything and figure it out and basically write my own system. So it's going to be a while before we come back to Shattered World. I can't really make any commitment about how long that's going to be. If you do want to learn about Syseria, I would love to show you, whatever you want to know. And that also can be accessed in the world info, but I think the link to my library right now and my world book is all broken at the moment because they've all been kind of redone. So basically, if you want to know about my campaign world, let me know. What we are going to be doing is a lot of different campaigns, a lot of different campaign worlds. We're going to be playing mostly 1 to 3 shots. I don't think we're going to go over 3. So at the time of this recording, we've got Pathfinder 2 coming up this weekend. And that will be, that'll be our first actual adventure where we're not like making characters or trying to figure out Foundry or whatever. So I'm counting that as the first session, and I'm planning on probably playing 3 sessions of that. But that could certainly be adjusted depending on how things go. Just expect this to be pretty fluid. Try to be flexible. Expect things to change pretty much all the time. So we're going to try numerous different games, and we're definitely going to be genre jumping as well, and maybe genre blending. So there's a survey out right now that I would like you to jump into if you haven't already, and just let me know what kind of game preferences you might have, or genre preferences. You know, as we used to say in Chicago, vote early, vote often. And you need to send me a message for every session that you want to play, and reserve a spot every time. So it's not automatic. If you signed up for Pathfinder on Saturday afternoon for this weekend, it's not automatic that you're going to get the same slot next weekend. So you have to make sure that you send me the message that you're claiming that slot every time. Our typical schedule is going to be 3 weeks on and 1 week off. That's not always exact either, but it's pretty much that. So we're going to probably, like I said, play three weeks of Pathfinder, take a week off, and then it looks like after that we're going to jump into Heroes Unlimited. So I'm looking forward to that. I haven't played Palladium in forever. So the calendar isn't really very necessary, but if you want to see it, it is on warhorn.net. And we're going to start doing the characters in advance so that when, for example, Heroes Unlimited starts, that will be like the day that it starts will be the day that we're adventuring. So that will be provided to you if you don't have a character already ready. But if you do want to make your own character, it has to be done in advance. But that doesn't mean, like, you're totally welcome to just show up and it'll be fine. We can accommodate you. So I just want everybody to keep in mind that we're just a bunch of internet randos to one another. We don't really know much about each other, and just keep it pretty mild and respectful. I do want everybody to feel comfortable as much as we can. So keep that in mind. And if you want to, you can share your name and location. You don't have to share any of this if you don't want to, but your play style and your meta role that you like, and any plans that you have, anything, what do you want to get out of this whole horse hockey? And for me, I am here to DM/GM, as the case may be. And I did recruit some others as well. So far, they have not really, they haven't really asked for any specific time slots or really stated that they want to actually DM this or that. So I don't know if we're still doing that. They can jump in anytime they want. or they can jump in and play too. But hopefully, sooner or later, like I said, I hope to have some other time slots open, and I hope to have some other DMs and GMs, just so you've got a variety of styles to choose from. So, and that goes back to the signing up every week thing and the short sessions. So, like, you are not really exactly obligated to play like Pathfinder my session and then Pathfinder my session again at the same time next week. Like, you might take that character over to Joe's Tuesday afternoon session and play with him for that week, and then whatever. So that was kind of my vision for this year, or whatever, however long we're going to be doing this. So that's how I'm hoping it's going to end up, but we've got to build up to that. So, but anyway, my name is Thorin Teague. I was named after the Dwarf King in The Hobbit, and everybody pretty much, my name got shortened to Thor in 4th grade, and it stuck. So everybody pretty much calls me Thor. Actually, a very good old friend of mine informed me recently that in 4th grade, I stood up in front of the class and demanded that everybody call me Thor from that day forth. And that very well could be true. I don't know. I don't remember it. I don't doubt it, but I don't remember that. So the point is, it's been Thor since 4th grade. And I've been DMing for 34 years now. I started in 1989. My friend got me Palladium After the Bomb, which was a completely different book in 1989 than it is today. But in 89, it was a supplement to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And that was the first RPG book I ever looked at. And I was reading through it, thinking, oh, this is cool, that's cool, that's cool, this is cool, this thing's cool. And I'm starting to say, okay, what do you do with these stats? Like, how do you play these characters? How do you play this game? And it eventually dawned on me that I'm looking at a supplement, an add-on to the core game that I don't have. So I ran out, got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness right away, and I was off to the races. And we just went from there. We played Palladium for a while. Somewhere around 1991, I switched to D&D and pretty much never looked back. Actually, back then it was Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. They had a separation between Advanced Dungeons & Dragons and regular Dungeons & Dragons, so that's not really how they do it anymore, but back in the 80s, that was what we did. And I've played before that. Like, I've got some vague memories of playing Dungeons & Dragons as a kid. Well, I mean, I was a kid in 89, but as a littler kid than that. So me, I am an artist, a creative person. I'm an animator. I do some writing. I do some music. I teach art history. I actually don't teach animation right now, but I had been teaching animation for about a decade and a half. And I am a father of a lovely little 8-year-old girl named Audrey and husband of a lovely wife named Jean. It's pretty safe to assume that Audrey will be paying us a visit during our sessions periodically. She often comes down to say hi, so you'll meet her sooner or later. And so I would like to hear if you want to share what your play style is. I know just about every player I've ever met has kind of a little bit different play style, at least a little bit. You know, some players are more on the gamey, crunchy side. Some players are more on the narrative side. Some players are more on the reward, instant reward, instant gratification side. And it's all a very individualized thing. Some players like puzzles and puzzle solving and all that kind of stuff. So I generally don't meet a whole lot of historical simulation players because these games don't really lend themselves to historical simulation. But outside of that, there's lots of different possibilities, different different personalities, different things that that you might want to do. So whatever it is that you want to do with your character too, like the adventures and what I do, I try to cater to everybody in a general way. And there might even be some specific hooks in there for just your character, but don't wait around for the prompts. Like don't say don't be like I'm waiting for the DM to say it's okay for me to do my thing. Just do your thing. Just start doing it. There are a few behaviors that are off limits, but for the most part, like any kind of personality or habits or styles that you want to bring, just jump in and do it. That's usually my attitude. So that usually makes the game richer and more interesting. So I usually have more house rules than this because I usually, in the past, I had been working with a modified 5th edition. So as I was writing my world, it kind of got a little bit, honestly, I mean, it was getting out of hand, and I knew it was getting out of hand, but I was basically like, I was starting to turn 5e into something that it was not. And then the whole OGL thing happened, and I'm like, okay, I should just stop and just restart from the ground up because first of all, my content is not safe, and second of all, the whole, like turning 5e into what I need it to be is going to be like, you can't really do that to players. That's not what the players want. So if it's a brand new system, that'll help everybody come to it with an open mind, and it can do what I need it to do, and everything should be okay. Hypothetically. So we all know that what the GM says goes. It's not a dictation. You definitely can question it or offer alternative ideas and stuff, but we don't want to have a big, long discussion about rules interpretations during the adventure, because that's cumbersome, it's time-consuming, it's not fair to the other players. So, we'll talk about it for a couple moments, and then the final decision will be made, and then we'll move on. So further discussion is completely welcome, like in the Discord channel later after the session. Please treat everybody else with respect and follow the golden rule. Third-party development, third-party material, stuff in development, beta test type stuff is not allowed. We don't do mulligans, take-backs, no takesy-backsies. If you're talking about like some kind of time travel, that's different. Something in the universe that's magical or time travel kind of thing. But other than that, if you do something, then it's done. If you declare you do it, then you do it. And mandatory fun in this group. Have fun. It's mandatory. I don't require you to have RPG experience. So you should know, all players should know, that there can be beginners in the group, and we will take the time to help them out as best we can, and we'll walk them through the ins and outs. So that doesn't necessarily stop us from like maybe opening a slot that is experienced role players only, but right now that doesn't exist. Come prepared. I want to avoid, it's not forbidden, but I really don't want players fumbling through their character sheets for long periods of time while everybody's waiting for you to make a decision. So please try to avoid that. And if it's unavoidable, it's unavoidable. But just, if it gets to be too much, then we got to figure something out. Maybe you got to play a simpler character, or maybe we got to take some time outside of the game to go through your character and make sure you've got every, option down and understood. So, but, that just means, it takes, it takes some preparation. RPGs take a little bit of homework. So just come prepared. Come ready to play an RPG. Party alignment, we generally do good or some neutral, and we generally go the heroic route. I'm not opposed to an evil campaign. That's just generally been the choice. When we do Heroes Unlimited, that is going to be a heroic game. That is definitely going to be good characters. When we go on to the next system, we'll see. Just kind of do what you want. There is a caveat to that on the party infighting, and we'll get to that in a moment. But generally speaking, it's a good idea to have compatible alignments in the party. Good or evil, you are on a team at my table. I am not doing a PvP game, so you cannot be having any kind of competition, including but not limited to infighting. Stealing from each other is strictly forbidden. Hogging the loot is strictly forbidden. Like snatching loot before anyone sees it and putting it in your pocket. Walking out on fights is strictly forbidden. General misconduct, anything like that, all forbidden. So if it's what your character would do, then you need a different character, because we're not doing that at my table. So, and it doesn't matter if you're good or evil. That this has to be the way you play. When I say no serious infighting, that doesn't mean like fisticuffs and rough and tumble type stuff is not really going to be like taken as a problem or taken very seriously or anything like that. I'm talking about like trying to kill each other. So conduct is, well, I guess we've kind of been talking about that, but we've got no participation or attendance policy going on. So basically what you have to do, like I said, is you have to manually opt into every session individually. So every week you need to plan on sending me a message saying which session you're going to play in which time slot. And if you leave our Discord server, then you lose your status as an active player. Probably obvious. So not that you're like not welcome back. If you leave our server, I don't really care. If you decide to stop playing, I don't really care. And you're welcome to come back anytime. There's a lot of inactive players that hang out in the server at this point in our history. So I always tell them just, feel free to just hang out. Who knows if your schedule might change in the future, or your, because a lot of these guys, they work or real life or whatever got in the way and they had to stop playing. So I always say, don't worry about leaving the server. You can just hang around and then just chat and hang out and stuff. And if your schedule changes in the future, you're welcome to pop back in. So this whole thing is, I'm going for a lower commitment. I'm not doing like the long campaigns like I traditionally did in the past. So I'm really trying to set up an arrangement where players can jump in and out and it'll be fine. So, but if we do have like something that's 2 or 3 sessions, I would like you to commit to all sessions for that, if at all possible. So, but I'm going more for short, so if you're going to drink at the game, obviously I couldn't stop you anyway, but I just would say don't make yourself like completely useless. So The worst thing that could happen probably is that you'll just fall asleep at the mic, and we'll have to play your character or something. So splitting the party and doing your own thing. So that is fine to a point, as long as we can resolve that quickly. Since we can't split the GM, so let's try not to split the party too much. Sometimes it's advantageous, or sometimes there's a compelling reason to do it. We try to work through that rather quickly where possible. We try to minimize that to a great deal. So now, if you do have some pretty intense individual shenanigans that you're really into doing, I would love to do that. And what we'll probably have to do is we'll probably have to set up schedule an individual session for an hour or two or whatever it takes, so that we can work that through. But we don't stop the whole group for an hour or two while you're doing that. So PC death is by consent only. So if the mechanics say your character is dead, then you will be asked, do you want your character to die, or do you want to continue playing this character? And you might be put into a coma or captured for a few sessions, or a little while, maybe the rest of that session or something like that. But if it's a one shot, then it's just, you can just stay unconscious until you get healed. But the point is, it's up to you. I might kill your character, but it's up to you. You can still keep playing it if you want. It's just a game. And hard topics, taboo topics, things like that. Any kind of, whatever taboo it might be, different sexual orientations or gender orientations, rape, gore, consent and accessibility overall. We have a thing that we can go through, and I do want to know if there's any kind of trigger warnings that I need to know about, if there's anything I need to tread lightly on. It's not a problem. I'm sure I can accommodate you. And like I said earlier, protracted rules discussions, we do that outside of gaming time. Just something that shouldn't be done in game for longer than, a quick back and forth. Just hey, did you know this, or consider this? And then I say, okay, good point. Or I say, no, that doesn't apply. But any more than that, and let's just talk about it in the forum. So, was there anything else? Yeah, there is. So, this is where you send money if you want to send me money. It's completely voluntary until further notice. It's free. So, my norm has been in the past is about $10 a session. When I do start charging again, I don't know that will still be the rate, and I don't know when that's going to happen. It's going to take as long as it takes for me to write a book before I start charging again. So I don't want to commit to any particular time length, but it's going to take as long as it takes me to write a book. Consent and accessibility. I wanted to jump back to this for a second. This is the type of thing like that I like to share with, randos, people that I don't know. In this setting or in like a convention or something like that, it's good to know what you might have a problem with. So, what I do is I give you this form. You fill it out anonymously. I don't know who is asking for what accommodations. I only know that somebody will be triggered by blood, and I need to really de-emphasize that. So, whatever the case may be, there's a bunch of possibilities. So, if you want to skip this, it's assumed that you're fine with everything. So please keep that in mind. But if I need to know anything, and of course you can just tell me too, I don't mind. So, but the point is, get the message to me so that I know, because I can't magically guess what is going to bother you. So this is a form that will offer a lot of different common triggers, and you can say how much they're going to bother you or not bother you. So couple things that I want to say real quick, just in case you don't actually hit this form at all. The link will be in the description on this video, so just click on the description down below and you'll see the link to this form. If my game were a movie, it would be rated PG-13 or R, depending on the day. It's generally going to hover between PG-13 and R. It doesn't get much worse than PG-13 usually. And that also kind of depends on the players. I've got some players that are a little more crass than others, and that's usually okay as long as the group's fine with it. But if there's somebody there that finds it off-putting, then I'd like us to not act like barbarians. So I don't personally care, but it's upsetting to some people, and I don't feel any particular aversion to accommodating as many people as possible within reason. So I want this to be a safe space for everybody. So we don't bully, we don't put people down or anything like that. No threats, nothing like that. And any of that type of behavior, you're going to get banned. There's no tolerance for name calling, put downs, insults. And that means towards one individual or towards any group of people, like, ethnically or sexual orientation or anything like that. It's not at all allowed or welcomed. In-game sexual activity is usually not a big part of my games. And when it does appear, it's usually fade to black. It's usually just implied. So pretty much always, actually. So if players are going to go the route of inter-party sex, that's supposed to be inter-party. I love how it jumps me all the way over here. Inter-party sex, it will be extremely implied, barely spoken of, in fact. We never emphasize or fetishize sex in the campaign. Violence levels are what you would probably expect for D&D, I would think. Just depending, different people have different styles. So in my campaign, it's usually rated R, and it's generally implied to be pretty gruesome. I don't, again, fixate or go to great detail or effort to emphasize the inflicting of wounds or the, anything like that. But, it's there. So gore levels are, in terms of what is explicitly stated, is pretty low, almost entirely implied. So, I'm not saying the gore doesn't exist. Like, if you cut something in half, it's gory, but, excuse me. But I just leave it implied. So sometimes characters will do so much damage to a critter or an enemy or whatever that it just is wrecked completely. And I will say something like, "Oh, that is abstract art that you just made." And so there's blood. There could be anywhere between attacks that do nothing visibly to the body versus full destruction of bodily integrity. They're just wrecked. They're just exploded. None of that is overemphasized. None of it is fetishized. In-game, in-universe speciesism or racism, intolerance, oppression, slavery, and specious or racist violence can happen as adventure hooks. PCs are not allowed to engage in this behavior. That means good or evil. This is enemy behavior only. So I'll put that in there just in case. In-game, in-universe torture can sometimes happen as an adventure hook. It will be lightly described, like walk them around the block a few times, or left entirely implied, like fade to black. PCs are not allowed to engage in any extreme torture techniques. but that's enemy behavior only, but PCs can utilize enhanced interrogation methods. You know what I mean. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So, but we are not overemphasizing it. We're not fetishistic about it. There are things, so this goes on to a full list of things. There's things that could seem to be missing from this list, but it might be that I do not consent to its inclusion in the game, so it's not going to be in there anyway. So every question here is optional. I will assume a 5 on the skipped questions, which means fully comfortable with that question. So on a scale of 1 to 5, please indicate your comfort level on the following potential triggers. And so here's some horror triggers that you can, and they all start with a free-form answer that you can just write into. And so you can just see some of the different possible aspects of horror that you might encounter. Any of this that you don't want to see, just say 5. If it's more like tread lightly, just handle it delicately, that'd be about a 3. No problem at all, that's 1. Just throw it in there. Relationships, romance, sex, pregnancy, child rearing, social cultural issues. So this is all referring to in-game. This is in-universe. This is not like what we do. This is what our characters are experiencing. And so mental and physical health can come into play. Psychosis and insanity might appear in some games. And then anything else you might want to say. So and you don't have to do the whole thing. You can give me just a few quick notes if you want to, or whatever. It's all just left optional. So so that's about everything I had to say. So that's my sort of session 1, but I want to hear back from you. So check out that forum, or chat into the lobby, or in-character chat maybe if you want. You'll notice there's an in-character channel. I also was intending to make a bot that you can assign yourself the player or the DM role, or take it off at your own prerogative. I just haven't done that yet, so I'll do that at some point. When you have the player role, you'll get pinged whenever I post the next time slot. And when you have the DM role, you'll get pinged whenever I want to talk to the DMs. So, yeah, I think that's about it. All right, so I hope we all have lots of fun, and I'll talk to you soon.